Okay, so I decided not to continue with the purple because it's not filling in the color as much as I want, and as you can see, my roots are getting to be about quarter of an inch in some areas, and in others it's a little bit more. Just depends on the grow out. So first step is bleaching. This is the Ion Bright White that I like to use versus regular bleach, and then I'll use volume 20 to mix it. This stuff, because it's more of a paste almost, I went to the store and got a little whisk because it clears out the chunks that it makes when you use it. That's the only thing I don't particularly care for it, because it's so thick. Mixing it up and trying to use a brush doesn't really work as well. So I'm gonna mix it in. I'll probably do a couple of seconds of, putting it in, and then you'll get to see it after it's done bleaching. So no long moments of not seeing anything. So I'll show you what it looks like here mixed in just a moment. So this is just the Volumizer and the Lightener together. So as you see, using the whisk does work a little bit easier on the actual mixture itself. I like the Creme one a little better because when I use the clear Volumizer, it tends to splash because it's very liquidy. So I'm not a huge fan of that one. It works just as well. I don't see a difference when I use them, but that's me. I just prefer ones that tend to mix a little bit better, and I feel like the Creme Volumizer mixes better than the other. So this consistency is a little thick, so I do need a little more Volumizer in this. So this is more the consistency that I like to get out of it. Almost looks like sour cream. It's almost a 2-to-1 ratio, but because there's so much in there, it's kind of hard to tell. I usually end up making more just in case, because there's always 1, maybe 2 spots in the back that I always miss. So I just go back over and get those spots in particular. It happens, especially if you're doing it yourself, that you're gonna miss spots, but it's better to have some left over and end up discarding it than not have enough. That is not fun when you don't have enough. Because it happened one time when I did green and it looked awful. So when I put this in, I like to start with the roots and around the edges. Everybody starts a little bit differently. I've seen tons of hair videos where most people will start with the roots and then the foil, or the foil and then do the roots. I mean, it's really what works best when you're doing it yourself. But you can always ask a stylist friend too. I'm sure there are plenty of hairstylists who will give you good tips on what to do with it, or best way to do it. Everybody has their own way, I noticed, and their own process depending on the length of the hair too. My hair is short, so it makes it different for how I need to start things. Plus, I like to start with the roots because they're usually the thing that's the most natural colored, so the bleach sits on there a little bit longer. So this is a part of it. Pretty soon it's all going to be covered in bleach and start turning weird shades of orange and probably like blue because of the purple. So we'll be back when I'm all done. So one thing I forgot to mention, when you're doing the sides or the back or even the top, the smaller the part between the layers that you're applying, the better chance you have of not missing sections of hair or a part of your roots. Because I've done it where they've been too far apart and I've missed like huge chunks. So the less space you have between the next row that you're combing through, the better. So like this is really close and there's not going to be much hair moved, but at least I know I'm getting the roots a lot more. So that's the thing for me, just because my hair is so dark naturally, the less space I have between the roots, the better. And the easier it is to apply it and not actually put too much on it, but just get the roots and let it sit there so it all is pretty even. Because the uneven coloring is kind of annoying sometimes, because then when you do an unnatural color, parts of it will be darker and parts of it will be lighter, which is fine because that's almost like what your natural hair color does anyways. But it's different if it's like really poignant in certain areas. So if you have one particular spot, like right here, I tend to miss really often, then it can look rather silly. Yes, I know this looks like a cockatoo, and it's gonna have to be what it is for right now. So, almost done. This is the last portion that I need to do before I let it set. This bright white, you can leave it in your hair for up to 40 minutes. I don't typically leave it in that long because it doesn't take that long to process when most of my hair is already colored. The roots take a little bit longer, but as long as they're lightening, which you can see they're already lightening, and it's only taken me about 10 minutes or so to kind of put all of this in. So I leave it in for about maybe 30 minutes, 25 to 30, depending on how long it takes to actually process most of the color out. Because not all of it comes out, but I do try and get most of it out because the mixing of the colors doesn't always work well. So this is almost finished. And then I will let it sit here in my hair, driving me insane, for about 30 minutes. So that is the full look there. All right, so you see the roots are already processing really, really well. So letting it sit in for about 20-30 minutes usually is all it needs, which is really nice because then it doesn't feel like it's over processed or dry, or that point where it's almost about to give you a chemical haircut and be gummy, which is never good. So, all right, I will show you when it's washed out what it looks like, and then we'll go for the toner. So, as you can see, most of it's bleached. There's some of the ends that I need to do a little bit more, so that'll get a second round. But see how light the roots are, and you could tell how dark they were before. That's just one round of lightening after about 35 minutes of sitting on my hair. So it's pretty good for one level. It's more just the ends here that previously had the neon pink and then purple over it, so it's kind of sticking in there pretty good. Which, I mean, for a conditioner that was a 3-in-1, that's not bad. But silver and this won't really go as well just because it's so light, and I want it to be somewhat even, not pink silver. So, next round. So, one of the many roadblocks that I've come into with doing this myself is that certain colors like to stick to my hair. And when I did orange, it stayed in my hair really, really good because of the red particles in my brown hair. So, what this means right here is that I'm gonna have to give it about 2 to 3 weeks and bleach it again. Possibly a month, just because I don't want to fry the hair, over process it too much. But compared to, you know, an hour ago, when I let it sit in there for another 20 minutes just on the ends, it did lighten it pretty significantly because there's no purple left, it's just the pink. So, like even in the back, you can see there's little sections here and there that still have pink in them. So that'll get worked on, and then as soon as it is all blonde or bleached, then we can go for the toner to lighten it and take out those yellow tones in the bleach, which is what I prefer to do. There are other ways to do it, but that's how I'm doing it. And then we go silver. So it is still a bit of a process to get there, but for me, this is just like experimentation, and it's more fun. Not everybody has the patience to do it at home, so if you want to try something, just ask questions. A lot of the product links will be in the body of the video and anything I might have forgotten to say. So this is the middle stage.